Hello. Now, yesterday I brought you this story about two people who had been sacked in the advertising industry for a company called J. Walter Thompson. It's now changed its name to something like Wunderbar, Wunderbar, Wunderbar. I don't think it's called Wunderbar actually. Now, what I'd like to do is to get you to think about an advert that you may have seen about 3 or 4 years ago for Tango. And it started off with a man in an office who walked out of his office and the camera followed him. It all looked like one long take. It wasn't. Quite a clever little bit of film. And they started taking off all his clothes. Clever and slightly disturbing. And he ended up in these little purple shorts. And then he put on a little purple dressing gown and climbed into a boxing ring and said, I'll take you all on, come and get me. And these fighter planes appeared in the background. He was on the edge of the cliffs of Dover. You remember that, don't you? It's called the St. George Tango ad. Now, the person responsible for that is Chas Bayfield, and he was one of the two people who was made redundant. The other fellow was a fellow called Dave Jenner. So I brought this story to you yesterday, and at the same time yesterday or today, the tabloid newspapers have gone wild with stories and photographs and really quite vile stuff about the person who they say had sacked them. They were wrong. She didn't. A person called Jo Wallace. And they put pictures of her with her partner embracing and in swimwear. There's one of her lying on a swimming bench with a hat over her head and stuff. Just very odd photography, very odd stories. Now, it is quite true that this lady Jo was on record saying when she got the job of being one of the creative directors of JWT, that she wanted to change the industry and obliterate the reputation that JWT had as an agency run exclusively by white, straight men, sort of mad men. But at the same time, this sort of nuance and nastiness which takes that quote and then says that she is responsible for the redundancy is very unpleasant. And there's a fellow from The Sun who said that the agency should fire her. Is nuance, nastiness in reporting. She wasn't directly responsible for the redundancy, and her partner was completely uninvolved. That's really the issue. So what makes Jo Wallace so different from, let's say, Boris or Priti Patel or Jeremy Hunt? Well, Boris and Priti stood for election. They are dependent on us and they are answerable to us. And when they hide, they need to be drawn out. Drawn, actually. They need to be drawn. They need to be exposed. Even Boris's new wife is fair game because she is also directly involved in top decision making in a way that Jo Wallace's partner is not remotely involved. And even if that decision making is simply about finding wallpaper and flooring or trying to spite Dominic Cummings, and who wouldn't want to do that? But while she is doing that, while what's her name, Carrie, while Carrie is busy cashing in on her relationship with the man who has become Prime Minister, she is fair game in a way that Jo Wallace's partner is not and never could be. Now, just to put all the just to top and tail this nicely, do you remember there was a poster which you would have seen if you'd been running around London a few years ago. There was a poster with a sort of airfix kit for making a plane of some sort. And on one side of the airfix kit, you know those things where you press out the planes and you press out all these little bits and pieces. I loved airfix when I was a child. I would still love airfix if I could get hold of it. And on one side of this big strip of plastic bits and pieces, there was a little bit of a Kit Kat. You know, have a break, have a Kit Kat. Well, that was Joe Wallace's creative idea. So there, we've got two creatives, and they're embroiled in this spat which has made it to the tabloid newspapers. And yes, there are important issues. We want to encourage diversity, but not if that involves hurting other people. We want to make sure that there is opportunity for everybody, but not opportunity for one group at the expense of another. That is the fundamental issue in promoting diversity. No group, no person should be left out in giving people opportunity. Anyway, there. Look, do follow me. Ring the bell. Bye-bye.